This video is sponsored by Crossing Void Global. With how overdone and tired we all are of the Isekai genre, as an anime fan it can often feel like you're drowning in a pit of the same recycled ideas, the same three protagonists being transported to the same fantasy world, and if, like me, you've had multiple conversations with other anime fans over this exact topic, and at this point I'll be amazed if you haven't, on the odd occasion you'll meet that one pompous git who thinks they're being all original, being like, you know what would be cool? What if, instead of a normal guy being transported to a fantasy world, we reverse it and have fantasy characters being transported to our world? Ha! I bet no one's ever thought of that idea before! Ha! Ha ha! Nope. The Devil is a Part-Timer is one of those shows that seems to keep coming up in conversation every now and then, even though on the surface it seems like one of those disposable seasonal anime everyone should have forgotten by now. But every so often some bozo will still come along and say, hey, remember Devil is a Part-Timer? Do you still think there's a chance we'll get a season 2? Before awkward silence fills the room as you then proceed to hear someone else burst out crying in No Game No Life. It's a show that has refused to die in the hearts of many, and having just rewatched it, I can't help but think that this is a series that would resonate with audiences even more today than when it initially aired, because it feels like a great answer to the current isekai landscape we are so used to. Right off the bat, it drops you into what appears to be the most bog-standard fantasy world plotline. You have a demon lord Satan who's trying to take over the world of Ente Isla, only to be thwarted by the legendary hero Amelia. No, not that one. In desperation, he and one of his loyal generals escapes through a portal to another world, only to find themselves in modern-day Japan, where they walk around, try to speak the language, and get hit by a truck. Not really, but that would have been pretty funny. In a world with limited magic and no way to get back, their only choice is to try and survive in this world by integrating themselves into society, starting by earning money and getting a part-time job in McDonald's, which, if you couldn't guess, is an obvious parody of the global fast food powerhouse you should all know. That's right. McDonald's. It's the story of an OP demon lord who gets transported to the human world, where he works a normal part-time job and tries to climb the corporate ladder to become King of the McNuggets, Lord of the Fries, aiming for that Employee of the Month spot by ensuring that this is the only McDonald's branch in existence with a fully functioning milkshake machine. If you showed this to someone today, they'd probably get isekai culture shock. It seems like the perfect reply to the tropes we see in this saturated era of fantasy world isekai, but of course this came out just as the isekai boom was starting, and unlike a lot of recent attempts I've seen that have tried to parody the genre, it's genuinely entertaining and funny. One of the biggest things I've seen that's irked me recently is when anime has tried satirizing itself. Every so often you'll find this moment in the show that thinks it's being clever and funny when it tries to make a joke by calling attention to this trope you're used to seeing in anime, like, hey look, a naked tsundere in front of me, guess I'm about to get punched and killed. Oh well, wouldn't it be funny if I didn't punch you? Wait, you're not gonna punch me? Yeah, I'm not. Oh wow, I guess that is pretty funny, isn't it? This is funny. The entire joke is just in discussing that that thing that normally happens in anime? Well, that thing you thought was gonna happen isn't actually gonna happen. I bring this up because while the plot description can make the Devil as a Part-Timer seem like an attempt to satirize the current isekai landscape, it never feels like it's actively trying to do so, because it's not. This is a 6-year-old show that came out before there was established tropes to parody, yet viewing it today, it ironically does a better job at subverting these cliches than 90% of these so-called funny meta moments that actively make an effort to do so. It isn't funny because it's calling attention to all these tropes we are used to seeing in isekai flipped, it's just a very funny situation the characters find themselves in. And they react in a comedic way, but ultimately stay in character. The jokes aren't them explaining the joke, there's an actual punchline. What works is the sheer ridiculousness of the premise, wherein we're used to seeing a normie otaku protagonist doing fuck all with his life, arriving in Middle-earth for some high-stakes world-saving quest. Here, the stakes are reversed, and we get to see a world-conquering demon lord just dealing with the sheer terror that is our mundane, normal daily grind. It's the classic fish-out-of-water scenario with a reverse fantasy twist, and yet somehow, compared to what we see today, still feels oddly refreshing. And this is helped with a great dynamic between the cast members. Sadao, Amelia, Ashia, Chiho, Lucifer. It isn't just the fact that the Devil is working at a fast food restaurant, it's the fact that the cast retains the same dynamics you'd expect in an epic fantasy story while having to keep it up in a modern setting. Mao's accompanying general, Ashia, tries to remain loyal to him throughout, serving him in any way possible. But of course there's no realms for him to control or armies to command, so he serves him the best way he knows how. as a stay-at-home housewife. Then there's Amelia, who has to deal with the internal conflict of finally confronting the all-powerful demon lord she spent her entire life fighting, only to find that he's actually a normal, hard-working guy, unsure if he'll one day turn again, and has to maintain her world-saving hero status while holding a telesales job. It's a balance that just gives the cast some great chemistry when it comes to the comedy without making anything feel forced. Like, a lot of people may see Amelia as your typical tsundere, but given the context, it does make sense why her attitude towards Mao is so cold. And also, I like tsunderes. I don't know why I said that, I didn't really have anything else to add to that point. Speaking of Amelia, she herself is a playable character in today's sponsor, Crossing Void Global, and I just wanted to take a second to talk about that. Crossing Void Global is an all-star turn-based RPG with characters from over 25 anime franchises, including Devil is a Part-Timer, Index, Durarara, Toradora, Spice and Wolf, Orimo, SAO, and more. Yes, you can collect all your best boys and girls and upgrade them to do battle. So, you know what that means. Waifu Fight! Use all the original character moves you are familiar with, including Makoto's all-famous railgun, Kirito's starburst stream, and then here's Shizuo just casually throwing a vending machine. You can also mix and match characters from different franchises in battle to get their own unique cross skills, and it also includes an original storyline that crosses over with all the multiple franchises. And yes, of course, if you show your dedication to your best girl by upgrading her, you can unlock exclusive illustrations and emotes. To celebrate the release of Crossing Void Global, Alice from SAO will be making her debut. And also, if you download it now, you can get any S-tier character of your own choice for absolutely free. Also, Crossing Void's Facebook and Twitter pages are holding regular events, so follow their pages for the latest updates and events. If this sounds like something for you, click the link below to download it on iOS or Android. Getting back to The Devil is a Part-Timer though, it's fairly safe to say that if that's all there was to the series, it would surely get dull. I've seen enough anime that have tried to live off of one running joke alone, and the literal devil getting outrageously fired up and motivated about selling special peppered fries can only go so far. Thankfully, it does have a semblance of a plot, with the fantasy world they came from still having a role to play in the overarching story. The war between the devil and humans never technically ended, and in between the fast food joints you have a few arcs focusing on characters from the fantasy world trying to come and kill the devil as they always have. It's a great mixture of unique comedy with a fantasy action backbone to keep you on your toes, and most importantly, keep you entertained. Having events interspersed with greater consequence not only makes the show more interesting, but allows the characters to grow and evolve as the series goes on. Of course, while I am throwing a lot of praise, if there was one big downside to this series, is that there isn't really much more to say about it. It was a nice little fun series that said its piece then ended, and by ended what I mean is that it didn't really end, it just woke up the next day, snuck out while you were still sleeping, and didn't even leave a number for you to contact it by. While I enjoyed the series, there's nothing I can really point to say, wow, this was really amazing. But most of that is because it didn't really have the time to properly hit its stride or establish itself. Just as you feel the plot starts progressing and the characters have a chance to develop, the curtains close and an announcement comes on saying, "Alright, that's all folks, show's over, you can fuck off home now." But I wanted to see more of the story. Security, can someone shoot that man, please? Thank you. This is a show that has been stuck in sequel limbo for years, and it doesn't really make sense because it was the third best-selling light novel of that year, and before I just checked, I had no idea that it was the 55th most popular anime on my anime list, putting it above Mob Psycho 100, Madoka, K-On!, and JoJo. What the fuck? The demand was definitely there, so I can't shake this feeling that it might have just come out a bit before its time, because I believe that if it did actually come out today, with season 2 and 3 announcements coming out from anime big and small, sometimes even right after a show is finished, on top of the sheer abundance and popularity of Isekai being released now, there's no way it wouldn't have gotten another season. As it stands, The Devil is a Part-Timer is a short, fun little package that didn't overstay its welcome, but we would definitely welcome more of it. Recently, I've had a lot of fun going back to watch these older, incomplete shows I'd forgotten about, because now there's just an abundance of new manga chapters and light novels that can finally fill that void I felt when they initially aired. And I think The Devil is a Part-Timer has been one series I've enjoyed even more revisiting than when I first watched it. Back when this first aired, I kind of just took it at face value as this entertaining little fantasy show. I don't think I'd even heard of the word isekai back then, and apparently I now have to say it every other sentence by law, which is why I think it's a show I can appreciate even more now, and right now I can definitely recommend this as the perfect time to go revisit it. And if you've never seen it before, well, that's all the more reason to, because I think it says a lot about the current environment when I can say to you, hey, want a genuinely fun twist on the isekai genre that feels way more original than 90% of the attempts coming out now? Here's this half-decade-old anime. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Again, I'd really like to thank Crossing Void Global for sponsoring me today. I don't think I got a chance to say how awesome I think it is that all these different anime franchises are coming together for this one game, and there was nowhere near enough time to name out all the IPs that were going to be in it. So if you want to give it a go and find out for yourself, click the link below to download it today. And with that said, I know the last month has been pretty barren in terms of video uploads from me, and there is a reason for that. I've just moved to Japan. Yes, I won't bog you down with all the details, but I've finally fulfilled the weeb dream. And yeah, that's really kept me busy for the last few weeks, which is the reason I haven't really uploaded anything and just been kind of off the grid in general. Though I do plan to make up for it this month though. I have a bunch of videos that I was working on that had to be put on hold because of the move, so expect this month to be even more busier than usual in terms of uploads, starting with the seasonal rundown, which you can expect next. Anyway though, that's it from me. I've been Gigguk, and I'll see you all next time.